Hey, what's up guys? Luso here with TeamDPlusGaming, and I'm here to show you my Mermail build. This is what I was running this weekend at Locals, and it's a little bit different than Josh Lee's build, and so I'll kind of get into things. I'll go through main deck, extra deck, and side deck with you. With the side deck, I'll go into kind of some of the things I was choosing for the current meta, and kind of explain that a little more in depth. Deep Sea Diva, Tuner, Specimens level 3 or lower Sea Serpent. 3 Heavy Infantry. Pops a face-up card on the field, so kind of keeps your opponent's monsters in check, helps you get over things you couldn't attack over or steal. Atlantean Marksman pops a face-down card, kind of controls back row, is kind of the big thing with that one, and also if it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can take and special summon usually your 1 Dragoons, but it's another Atlantean. So with that you have 1 Atlantean Dragoons. When it's discarded you get a search off of it. And also your, when it's on the field, your marksman can attack your opponent directly. Next up I had 3 Aqua Spirit. So this helps with some of your Bahamut Shark plays. You can banish a water from grave to special summon it, and so it essentially gives you another level 4 on the field for XYZ plays, is the big thing with that one. 1 Mermail Abyss Osha. Again, it helps with the Bahamut plays. You can turn a level 7 into a 3 and a 4, and then you can go into some XYZ plays a little bit faster with that one. Next up, 3 Abyss Gund. When it's discarded, you get a special summon a Mermail from grave. 3 Abyss Lind. It's your target for your Abyss Spheres. When it's on the field, is destroyed, you can take a special summon a Mermail from the deck. Next up, 3 Abyss Pike. When it's normal or special summoned, you can pitch 1 to add a level 3 water monster from deck to hand. Also, it's a discard outlet, so it helps you get off your water monster effects. And it's a level 4, so that's what helps you go into your Bahamut Shark plays. Then 1 Abyss Sturge. He was kind of a last-minute tech choice. It helps you get back a water monster from your grave to reuse. Yeah, presumably Marksman is the one you would want to reuse with that. Okay. And it's also a 4, so it helps with those. There's a little bit more attack than Pike. Next, going to the level 7s, you have Abyss Teus, 3 of those. 3 Megalo, pretty standard. Sorry, Abyss Teus, when it's special summoned by its own effect, you can take and add a level 4 or lower Mermail monster to hand. So it helps you search through your deck a little bit faster, plus only 1 to discard to special summon. Abyss Megalo, discard 2 to special summon it, and you get to add an Abyss Spell or Trap. 1 Abyss Lead, you really just want to search this off of Lind, because, it requires 3 to discard, so once it's in hand, I usually try to get it to Graveyard. Never really discarded 3 to get its own effect off. 3 Tidal. You can go through some really broken plays with this. You can discard Tidal and Gun to foolish something and immediately special summon it. Also, it's a 7, you can easily special summon and keep manipulating your graveyard. I still ran 1 Mulan Glacia, although that was something I tend to decide out for games 2 and 3, just because if it does leave the field, it's a huge liability to you. You can miss your battle phase of the following turn. And so, more often than not, even though you get to rip 2 cards from your opponent's hand when it's special summoned, oftentimes it wasn't really worth it. Next up, 2 Max C, just to help you speed through the deck. To me, 2 is enough. 3 is a little bit of overkill because there are some bad matchups where your opponent isn't special summoning, and those need to be cited out. And so, 2 is a better balance, at least to me. 2 Breakthrough Skill, I prefer that over Effect Veiler. You can set those in back row, and so even if your opponent blind MSTs it during the turn you set those, you can still use them again in your own turn to banish from grave. And so to me, they have a dual purpose. It's essentially running 4 Effect Veilers, which is just really good. Next up, 3 Sphere, pretty standard. You activate that, grab a Mermail, presumably Lind. At the end of your opponent's turn, Sphere is destroyed, which would then destroy the monster. And again, with Lind, you get the search off of it, or if you need to, you can go into a 7 from that one and go into your XYZ play if you're in a crunch. I ran 1 Torrential Reborn just because I was expecting a lot of back row, which I ran into some of it, not as much as I was expecting. But I mean, when you run into back row, you can take chain that, burn your opponent for quite a bit of damage, and then you get your monsters back. The cool thing with this card is you get all of your monsters back if one water was destroyed. So say if you take and have like a Draco Sack or a Big Eye or some other sort of monster on the field that's not a water, they all come back, which is something that a lot of people don't realize. And then to finish out the deck, 2 MST, again, just for back row, in case you run into Macrocosmos, Dimensional Prisons, just things like that, or Fissures, sorry. But just to kind of help out with that. Moving on into the extra deck, just some basic synchros for your level 4 Armory Arm, level 5 Armades, who was actually kind of the MVP, went into him the most often. Do Lauren for your 6, and then Crimson Blader for the 8. Armades was really good. And that's kind of key because it actually got over Blue Eyes Maiden because they couldn't chain the effect to the attack. And that was kind of the deck that came out of nowhere this weekend and took a lot of matches by surprise because Blue Eyes Maiden does win games for that deck. It seems like either decks could get around Blue Eyes Maiden, but then they couldn't deal with a 3K Blue Eyes staring them down, or they could get it over the 3K Blue Eyes, but couldn't get around Blue Eyed Maiden. So it was like one or the other gave them problems. For Mermails, it happened to be the 3K Blue Eyes deck was kind of the bigger problem. Blue Eyes was the big problem, but Armades kept the tuner at bay, which helped stall out and getting the Blue Eyes on the field. Armory Arm, you could attack things, help to get your attack over. Do Lorne, you get bounces on things back, like Sphere to reuse. Crimson Blader for the Dragon matchup. Get around that. 2 Abyss Trite, not really special summon on its own, usually special summoned off of Bahamut Shark. Mech-Whipped Angineer. That was kind of the rank 3 that I went into if I needed a rank 3, just to help save Bahamut Shark for a turn so you could use this effect over again. Cowboy and Abyss Dweller and Bahamut Shark for the rank 4s. Cowboy burning for game was huge. Pulled that off a couple of times. Was really clutch. Abyss Dweller shut off graveyard effects. Bahamut Shark, detach 1 to special summon a level or rank 3 or lower XYZ. And so you can use him to summon Abyss Trite. So you summon that in defense position, it has 2800 defense, and when it's destroyed, you get to special summon a Mermail from from graveyard. And so that was really good. For the rank 7s, pretty standard. For your generic ones, you had Draco Sack, Big Eye, and Master Blades. I didn't really need Master Blades much, but it was good to have just in case. And then 2 Mermail Abyss Gaios. Again, level 7 or higher can't attack, and effects of 2800 or less than 2800 attack can be negated by its effect. Then going to the side deck, ran a Neospatian Grand Mole. This is in case the Key Beetle lock, because Evil Swarms with Key Beetle lock is really insane, and there's just very few outs to that. And so he's kind of one of the few outs that is available. And so I was running one of him. Electric Virus, just in case there's a rogue machine deck or dragon deck popped up. I was expecting to side him in most against Elemental Dragons, Plant Synchros, or Dragon Plant Synchros, or something, but actually Blue Eyes deck was where I used him most often. So I ran into 2 of those out of 5 rounds, and so that was not what I was expecting, to say the least. So you can discard him to graveyard and take control of a machine or dragon monster on the field until the end of your turn. 2 Consecrated Light, again, Evil Swarm matchup was kind of the main fear with that. They don't have a whole lot of things that can attack over it because it just kills all dark monsters on the field, more or less. Dark Hole, just for decks that start to spam the field, run into like Hieratics or something that's heavily OTK based, and they can swarm the field really fast. That helps out with that. 2 XYZ Encore. The main reason for these was Constellars, which I did run into 2 Constellar decks, again, in 5 rounds. So not a whole lot of diversity, but just the fact that you can't chain to this was great. So you can summon a monster, chain XYZ Encore. Not only does it get rid of their Pallades, but at the same time it saves your monster from being torrentialed or bottomless. Eradicator Virus, just because you have Big Eye as a target, it gets Big Eye off the field if you pull that off, and so you don't have to worry about your Big Eye being stolen and then using that effect to steal something else. Plus, getting rid of spells or traps usually hurts a deck. Next, 2 Karma Cut. This is just for the Fire Kings matchup, is kind of the main thing with that. Also, Elemental Dragons. You take discard 1, banish a card on the field, and then all copies of it in the graveyard. And so, I mean, if you do that to Runics, Fire Kings are dead. If you do that to an Elemental Dragon player, now they only have 3 dragons to mess around with, and so, I mean, there's a lot of fun plays they can do with that, so that really helps out. 2 Goes in Match. Again, I was expecting more dragon matchups, which I didn't really end up seeing, so it wasn't too beneficial. And then since it is such a small lineup, main decked 3 Royal Decrees for trap heavy decks to kind of take it off. And so, I mean, that was kind of how I had Mermails built, and I think it's going to stay pretty similar to that for the rest of the format. But I guess we'll see how things go and what new innovations people find for Mermails. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Luso, TeamDPlusGaming, signing out.